I did not start Ecohotels because I read a policy paper. I started it because I kept getting stuck in the mud. I am Alessandra Atienza, founder of Ecohotels in 2013. So Don Ramon, my co-founder and husband, and I were triathletes in those years. Weeks were spent exploring the Philippine countryside, getting stuck in the rain, getting stuck in the mud, finding islands, mountain and coastal communities that most people just drove past without stopping. We swam, hiked, biked, and I ran in those communities. And the more we did this, the more we saw beautiful communities that had been left behind by the kind of tourism that takes without giving back, land that was being depleted rather than restored, natural environments that could lead to higher entropy if left unchecked. We also saw something else: local entrepreneurial energy in communities, local knowledge, cultural richness, and human warmth that the market had simply not found a way to value yet. In 2013, Don Ramon and I incorporated Ecohotels Inc. in the Philippines. The first letter of our name was never accidental. Eco or ECO stood for ecotourism, ecological and economical, benefits to the community, all three at once, from day one. We did not build the hotel business and later ask how we could make it more sustainable. We built the sustainability mission first and designed the business to serve it. The framework we chose to live by was the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. Not profit alone, not planet at the expense of viability. All three in genuine balance because we had seen enough of the world to know that none of them survives without the other two. Years later, people began to ask me how our work aligns with the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. I would say we are 100% aligned with all 17 Sustainability Development Goals. I want to be honest though about the order of things. We were not chasing those goals. We were simply trying to do the right for the communities and the land that gave us permission to exist. The SDGs, when they came, felt less like a target and more like confirmation of what we were doing and that we were not alone in our mission. On the people bottom line, what I believe poverty actually required when we opened our first property in Tagaytay, built from recycled materials, typhoon-felled trees, and homemade bricks, and sustainable wood crafted into beds, I already knew one thing with certainty. A business that imports its workforce from the city and sends its profits back to Manila is not a hospitality company. It is an extraction operation with a beautiful view. We did the opposite from the beginning. We committed to hiring locally from the barangays and towns immediately surrounding each property. Today, more than 90% of our cast members come from these communities. We have never called them staff. They are cast members in a story we are all trying to tell together. Many of them had never worked in the formal hospitality sector before. Some had never had a formal job at all, nor any education to even warrant a job in the hotel industry. I believe then, and I still believe now, that most dignified thing you can offer a person is not a donation, but a skill, a wage, and the chance to grow. So we built that into the model structurally. Cast members are not just trained on guest service, they are educated on sustainability practices, environmental stewardship, and our own Dine a Leadership framework. I wanted to bring something home beyond a paycheck. I wanted them to carry a way of thinking back into their households and their communities. I applied systems thinking and in turn created positive feedback loops that I knew by doing what we did, our efforts on sustainability will more than create ripples, but will snowball into bigger group efforts, contagious and effective. And they did. Interns became managers, local artisans shaped the design identity of our properties. People who had been told their whole lives that the opportunity lived somewhere else began to see it in their own backyard because we were building it there deliberately. The poverty that I encountered in the communities where we operate was not due to the lack of ambition or capacity. It was the lack of access to training, to capital, and to opportunities. To scale this further, we established the Eco-Sustainability Foundation with a mission I chose carefully: transforming lives, empowering communities, sustaining the future. Its flagship initiative, the Green Warriors Program, reaches beyond our existing workforce into the most underserved corners of the countryside, recruiting individuals with limited access to education and employment and giving them 3 to 6 months of an on-site training, classroom training, with housing and a living allowance included. It's not a charity program, a workforce pipeline with dignity built in. The future phase sustainability schools embedded at our properties and in partner communities, and the micro-enterprise capitalization program offering low-interest financing to our graduates is where I believe this work becomes truly transformative. When a green warrior completes training and goes on to start an organic farm or a local recycling enterprise with foundation support, we are no longer just employing people. We are building an ecosystem of sustainable livelihoods that does not depend on us to keep expanding. That ecosystem sustains itself. That is what I wanted when we started in 2013. Not a company that helps the poor, rather a community that produces its own prosperity. On the planet bottom line, what Bahay Farms taught me about hunger. The second thing I knew in 2013 was that food is never just food. It is a relationship between the land and the person who tends it, between the farmer and the cook, between the meal and the guest who eats it. Break any link in that relationship and something is lost. Nutrition, livelihood, ecology, culture, or all of the above. The Bahay Group of Restaurants and the Events Place was our answer to that understanding. Bahay means home in Filipino, and that word was chosen deliberately. I wanted the restaurants to feel like home, both in an aesthetic sense and an ethical one. Food sourced the way a caring family sources food from people you know, grown in soil you respect, prepared without shortcuts. The menus at the Bahay Group of Restaurants are built around what comes out of our own Bahay Farms, Regenerative Farm Network, located in the countryside and the future Ecohotels properties. Our local farmers grow organic produce. Every purchasing decision we make is a vote for the kind of food system we want to live in. One where the money stays close to the land that earned it, and the people who tend that land earn a decent living wage for doing so. What I am most proud of is in this model is its honesty. We are not adding a farm to our story for the brochure. The farm precedes the restaurant, and the farm exists because the community needs both the employment and the food security that comes from keeping local agriculture alive and valued. The circular economy is not a concept I adopted from a textbook. It is what made practical sense from the beginning. Kitchen waste from Bahay Restaurant goes back to enrich Bahay Farm soil and feed our livestock. Organic vinegar produced on the farms replaced the synthetic chemical cleaners we had been using. Nothing leaves our system as garbage if we can find a way to bring it back in as a resource. This is not an environmental gesture. It is our planet pillar doing what it is supposed to do, regenerating the natural capital that makes everything else possible. I also want to say something about nutrition because SDG 2 is not only about calories. Achieving zero hunger actually means not just empty stomachs, but bodies fed on food stripped of its value, communities disconnected from their own agricultural heritage, children growing up without ever knowing what a tomato tastes like when it has not been trucked across the provinces and refrigerated for a week. Have you tried plucking a green Indian mango and munching on it immediately? The skin is as crunchy and sweet as the flesh that you can eat it unpeeled. Or try the makopa, the siniguelas, and the duhat. They give so much happiness with every bite. Our food is healthy because it is close by. It is nutritious because the soil is cared for. It tastes right because it is prepared by people who understand what they are cooking and why. That is what I want our guests to experience. when they sit down at our bahay restaurant. And that is what I want the communities around us to see modeled. That farming with integrity produces food worth eating, and that food worth eating is something that they can grow. And profit, the part that makes it last. I am an entrepreneur. I have always been clear about that. Don Ramon and I did not build Ecohotels to run a charity. We built it to prove something, that you can grow a profitable, genuinely sustainable company in the Philippines without choosing between doing well and doing good. Profit is the third leg of our triple bottom line, and it is not the least important one. Without it, there are no wages for cast members, no compost for bahay farms, no allowances for green warriors, no deep well built in partnership with the barangay that now gives over our community residents clean water. Profitability is what makes the mission durable. It is what ensures that we are still here in 10 years, still hiring locally, still farming regeneratively, still training the next generation of sustainability leaders. But profit has never been the master. It is the mechanism. We measure success by what that profit makes possible, by how many families have steady income, by how much organic matter is going back into our soil, by how many interns have become managers since 2013. Those are the numbers I actually care about. Our vision to grow, to wow, and a sustainability champion says something important in its structure. Growth and delight are not ends in themselves. They are in service of something we are trying to champion. And what we are championing is the idea that hospitality done right is one of the most powerful tools for rural development that the Philippines has. We have 7,641 islands, many of which are rural areas with beautiful natural features. What 2013 knew and 2030 is still learning. When people tell me that Ecohotels is aligned with the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, I am grateful for that recognition, and I'm proud that our work contributes to them. But I want to be honest about the causality. We did not align ourselves to those goals. We started with the belief that the business owes something real to the people and the land it depends on. And we built from there. The SDGs, when they were written, describe what that belief looks like at scale. They gave global language to our local practice. What I knew in 2013 was simpler, that the countryside of the Philippines is full of people with talent, full of land with potential, and that both had been undervalued for too long. That if we could build a business that genuinely served both, we could also build something beautiful and lasting. That people, planet, and profit were not in tension. Rather, they were each other's conditions. 13 years on, Ecohotels stands across multiple destinations in Batangas, Tagaytay, Laguna, Palawan, and many others awaiting indicators from the external environment. Each one a small proof of that belief. Every cast member who grew up in a barangay near one of our properties and now leads a team, every local farmer whose harvest feeds our guests, every green warrior who finishes training and starts something of their own, they are the sustainability report that matters most to me. The United Nations has a deadline of 2030. We started in 2013. We are not waiting for the world to catch up. We are just continuing what we began.